how to detect non-truth. I think yesterday we were able to clarify what is non-truth. I hope we are all able to understand the difference between truth, non-truth, and lies. And yesterday we spent a lot of time talking about what is non-truth. So today I will be, talking about detecting, how to detect non-truth, which is through looking for the evidence, through searching the evidence. But before we do that, I would like to call those people who heard me yesterday, or who are here yesterday, or who heard my explanation of those three things: lies, truth, and non-truth, to come and refresh our mind and explain to me how you would give me explanations and examples of non-truth. Okay, so what do people get from yesterday's class?
Yes, so yesterday the subject was on truth, non-truth, and lies, and we got a better understanding yesterday, more like an introduction into a subject that is not emphasized, or something that is perceived as strange. I remember when we started the discussion yesterday, we had to distinguish each of those words. What is the truth, what is non-truth, and what is a lie. And Pastor's emphasis yesterday was on the non-truth part. Yesterday we got to know that lies are obvious, and so there is really no need to talk so much about lies, because it is visible to the blind and even audible to the deaf. Everyone knows a lie. But for non-truths, it is very, very subtle. And that was a keyword we used yesterday. It is subtle, and that is what a lot of people actually fall for. This actually is the bait of deception. And yesterday we established that there are many things that, especially in the church and religion, actually has used non-truths to create so much devastating effects in the lives of people. For example, Pastor used the story of salvation and getting to heaven, talking about how people say that if you sin and then you die immediately after that, then you go to hellfire because of that. And then that is a non-truth. And Pastor explained it like this. He said that the truth is what we need to make heaven, or what we need to spend eternity with God, is our relationship with Him, a living relationship with God. That is the truth. And the non-truth that is sold is that you need to work to earn your salvation. You need to work to get to heaven. And that is the reason why a lot of people actually are living 24/7 in condemnation, because they are trying to...
And fear.
In condemnation and fear, trying to please God in every way possible. And that is a non-truth, because there is a part that actually talks about why sin is not good. And a continuous lifestyle of sin definitely is not good. And that is the truth part of it, that sin is not good, because sin would destroy us.
Death.
Yeah, sin would lead to death. So that is the truth. However, what is making it non-truth is for one to think that sin in itself would take us to hell. So, and
as
Christians, what guarantees our presence in heaven is that we are saved, we believe in Jesus, and we have a living relationship with God. And that relationship that we have with God is what guarantees our security in heaven. And so many examples like this Pastor shared yesterday as to why he actually emphasizes, and if we take note and observe his teachings, it doesn't take time, it doesn't even focus on lies, but those non-truths. And yesterday I discovered that the reason why many of us actually fall into believing non-truths is because we are not diligent enough. We are not lovers of truth, because to be a lover of truth, then you must be detailed. Because it is being detailed, being willing to discover. And
they said Satan is in the details.
Yes. Devil, yeah. So we must be willing to actually pay that price to be seekers of the truth. And by this, we won't fall victim of non-truths. Actually, non-truths has a more devastating effect in the lives of people compared to lies. And so that is the reason why this week, Pastor is going to be teaching us how to detect non-truths, because it is very, very important for us to actually discover these non-truths so that we can live in the truth. And that's what I would like to say.
Okay.
I know I said it all actually, but let me just add my own. Non-truth, that was a new vocabulary that I learned yesterday. And not only that, it's a new vocabulary in terms of pronunciation and saying the word. It's not even something that I thought of at all as when it comes to a matter, that there is a matter that would be non-truth. Non-truth to me, when Dr. Sunday started the teachings, non-truth was a lie as far as I was concerned. And I was actually very resolved with that. By the time Dr. Sunday finished with us, I was of a different mindset in terms of understanding. And my understanding of this is that this non-truth is the middle where it's the middle. For me, non-truth was what makes me condemn myself. Non-truth was what is hidden, that I thought it was hidden in my understanding of God and in relationship with God. Because most of the things that people tell me, if I think about them logically or even try to make sense of them, it's either I've been taught that it's either stand in the box of true or false. So it's either a true or a lie. So I didn't know there was a middle. And I struggled with that. Even with myself, I struggled with that for so many years. So this word non-truth, for me, signifies a relationship with God, understanding of God and understanding of myself as a human being, and also in relationship with other people, understanding other people, giving other people the benefit of the doubt. So this is where the non-truth comes in. And the most significant thing for me is that non-truth is my responsibility. It's what gives me responsibility to think. From yesterday, I started to understand that this is where God gave us free will and gave us sound mind to process information, to process what is given, information that we receive, to know if this information is true, lie, or non-truth. And Dr. Sunday did say, and which is what we all, I think somebody mentioned first, but Dr. Sunday also mentioned that if we had watched him closely and understand him in terms of what he teaches and how he speaks and what is trying to highlight to us, is the non-truth, not the lies or the truth. Because the lies are easier to detect, they're obvious, but especially for Christian and religious people, you know, you can obviously detect the lies and you can say, okay, this is true most of the time, even though we don't delve into the truth properly. But in terms of lies, they're easy. But the non-truth, which we've lived by, the dogmas that we've lived by, because an authority told us, some of the teachings that Dr. Sunday have taught us, why we believe lie or we don't hold on to the truth. This clarifies it for me that there's a non-truth. So this non-truth that the authority shares, or somebody we love or respect, or somebody we look up to shares with us, that we don't take to go and dissect ourselves, to go and think over, to go and investigate, to research, to make sense of. These are the things that we falter with a lot in life. And I also realized that for me personally, I always felt like I didn't fall in the box of living a lie, but also I wasn't falling in the box of living truthfully or with everything with my life. But now I know where I'm living. I'm living in the life of non-truth, because that is more prevalent, because there are things that I'm not sure about, or the things that somebody have told me, but it doesn't make much sense at all. It's not absolute. It doesn't fall in truth, but it doesn't come from a negative place. It's not coming from a place where the person, it's not always from a negative place. Sometimes it's also coming from a place of lack of understanding. So this is where also wisdom, knowledge, application, This is application and analysis, critically looking at things, and relationship. The key thing here is relationship and relationship with God. And one of the things that Dr. Sunday mentioned yesterday as well was when people live in non-truth. An example is people who commit suicide for something as simple as, well, not simple, or a sin that they have been told that is an absolute sin, it's that they will not go to heaven, and they continue to do it, like masturbation. That those people condemn themselves, and some people commit suicide because they feel like their body or their mind, they're continuously doing this, so there's no point in being here on earth and continue to do that. And because they're living in the non-truth, they didn't have a relationship with God, and they didn't understand that yes, it is a sin, but the fact that even in your mind, you're already condemning yourself. You don't like this. It's not something that you're living in with joy, or you're living in thinking that, okay, this is okay for me, I would do it, this is my life, I don't care, this is how it is. The fact that even doing something that you're feeling remorse inside of you for doing those things, and you're condemning yourself, that's living in non-truth. And that non-truth also, it has a lot to do with relationship with God. And all the things that we've been told, some of the dogmas and or specific things that have been highlighted to us that were sins, with the example that Anu gave, which was with if you committed a sin or you did something that was wrong and you die, you're going to hell. So what about all the relationships you've had previously? Where do they go? So one thing that you do at one point makes you go to hell. Or maybe even if you did it 100 times, even if you did it 1,000 times. What about the relationship you've had with God? And then there was the example of, I think somebody mentioned, of David, where God says, this is a man after my own heart. David committed a lot of different things, and is still a man after God's heart. So why don't we look at that? And there's another example, an earthly example of mothers, that despite what their children does or how their children behaves, they still have something. There's an ounce of something in mothers that makes them feel that gives them, they still hold on to the love, they still care, they still want to nurture their children without thinking, okay, I'm going to condemn this person totally. So if our earthly parents would do that, what more of God? So this really explains a lot to me. Even as a Christian myself, I think if I've known this non-truth, I would be able to forgive better, because if I forgive myself, I'll be able to forgive others. I'll be able to understand. I'll be able to function better, because sometimes when I think that I have done something, I don't function well, maybe for a week or two, or even for months. Some people came and gave examples of how they've condemned themselves and they've cried in service while they were listening to the pastor, because they're saying, this is a sin, you haven't done this, this is bad, this is this. And you still go to church, you still, do your bits, pay your quarters of what needs to be done. But you're condemning yourself. You have no understanding, because you're not living in life. You're not living in truth, because, truth is absolute, and there's certain things that you're not doing. You're living in this non-truth, but you do not have the knowledge of the non-truth to even detect that it's a non-truth and to address it. So this, for me, is a new world. Even understanding that there's something that's a non-truth, I received almost, I came to maturity, understanding something that there's something that is non-truth, and there's something that I need to look into, I need to address, I need to I need to use my brain, I need to use wisdom from God, I need to pray in certain aspects, give myself peace, give other people peace, not condemning others as well as not condemning myself. So this covers a lot for me. It's not just about a word non-truth, or the word true, or the word lies. It's really about a new world that it was hidden for me. I think that was a hidden world, and it's a new territory for me to go into now, to start to analyze life, analyze myself, analyze my relationship with God, my relationship with other people, how I express myself, even what I understand about myself. It's not something that I've even thought, being something that I've never thought of. Maybe I'm not even expressing myself the way that I should express myself, because I didn't know that non-truth exists. So it's like, you're not going to wear a certain shoe if you don't even know that you have that shoe, or, it's not around. So this is really new, and it's something that I really want to pay attention to, because everything else that has been said, the truth, analyzing yourself, looking at the 5 levels of truth, if you do all of that, and we know that we cannot just, the world doesn't just deliver truth to us. It's not just about truth that comes to the world. How do we deal with other things that we receive from the world? Even if you know the truth, you know, if other things come to you, information comes to you, relationship, engagement with people, how do you then put those things? So it's very important for me to understand this, and I think also for other people as well, to understand that there are 3 levels to, no, not levels, I won't say level, but there's 3 things that you need to analyze in every situation, in everything that you do. The truth, the non-truth, and the lies. And the non-truth is not the same as truth, and the non-truth is not the same as a lie. So prior to this teachings yesterday, it was either true or lies. So now, for me, the word non-truth doesn't necessarily mean lies, or it's not lies at all. Lie is lie, true is true, and then there's another one that is non-truth. And I'm getting to know more about that now. You know, this next teaching, the second teaching, would obviously, I hope, would open my eyes. But the first teaching, I've actually changed my own paradigm of my world, of what I think what the world is about, what I think I know about the world, what I have been taught about the world. Everything has now changed, and I think I'm in a new world now. I think I've just come to maturity in terms of understanding. Yeah.
So now, since we are talking about how to detect non-truth, I want to give you some formula and some points on how to detect non-truth. You need to write these things down, either you are on the Facebook or live here, because I'm going to call you back to substantiate and give examples or answer questions about these points I'm going to give you. So if you want, if let's say somebody comes to you and says, no, suffer not a witch to live. And then the word of God, and then you also know that the Bible says, love your enemies. So now there is this conflict. And in my country right now, that argument is being won by the first category of people. That is, suffer not a witch to live. They are the ones winning. Most churches, and the biggest and most prominent churches in Nigeria, every day they are preaching against enemies. Okay, for example, or even praying. I even see what broke my heart today. I was trying to watch some people who are doing prayers on our platform here, who come here to look at prayer. So I decided to look at some of their videos. To my utmost surprise, all of them are also praying against enemies. Oh, the enemies that are waiting, the same thing that, you know, we are been preaching to enlighten people about. I just discovered that they just don't know better. So what is wrong with praying about enemies? Where did you see Jesus paying attention to enemies so much like that, or praying against enemies, or the disciples? It's only once in a while. They don't bother about enemies. Forget about Satan. That is a book we have to release. Forget about Satan. Don't live by Satan consciousness. So anyway, let's start with this particular phrase that says, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. And then you go ahead and believe it. Or so maybe you add another phrase that says, prophet offering. That's another phrase that I want to be using religious things, so that things that we are familiar with. Okay, how will you know if that is true or non-truth? First fruit offering, for example. Is that true or non-truth? Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Is that truth or non-truth? Tithe and offering for the New Testament Christian. Is that truth or non-truth? So somebody tells you as a woman that you need to be married and have children for you to become a woman, that you are not a woman until you are married and having children. Is that truth or non-truth? Or somebody will need to tell you that the joy of a woman is to take care of her family, of her children. Is that truth or non-truth? Or somebody will come and tell you that the most important thing in the world is your family. Is that truth or non-truth? Or somebody will come and even tell you that worship, we are created for worship. Is that true or not true? So a lot of phrases that we are used to that I've just mentioned now. Or somebody will come and tell you, somebody could come and tell you that if you don't go to church on Sundays, you are not a Christian or you are backslidden. Is that truth or not truth? So a lot of phrases like this that are so popular in Christianity are actually based on non-truth, but we never even discuss it. So how do you now detect or prove if something is true or non-truth? If it is true, we already know. It has to be universal, it has to be absolute, it has to be objective, it has to be all those other things that we already know. That's truth. But how do we now prove that the thing is non-truth? All these examples, I don't know how many points I gave you, how many examples I gave you. About 7 or 8? 8. So 8, all those 8 something, each one of them, how do you know that they are non-truth? Number 1, look for the reference or the evidence. For example, if somebody say, thou shalt not suffer a wish to live, do you know that they have evidence? They will show you the scripture in the Bible, because it is written in the Bible somewhere in the Old Testament that thou shalt not suffer a wish to live. So there is an evidence or a reference. So they will show you the reference. Then, so that's the first question. The first question, how to know. Because there are some non-truth that doesn't have reference. For example, if you say, or maybe I should ask you, out of those 8 points that I gave, or 8 examples that I gave you, which one of them does nobody will be able to find a reference for? Out of these 8 examples that you just wrote down. Huh? The joy of a woman is to take care of her family. So you ask somebody to give you the reference or the evidence for that. It's going to be very difficult for them to give evidence. But thou shalt not suffer a wish to live, they will find evidence in the Bible. But that is just one point. Because, okay, they find evidence, then I'm going to... So even when they find evidence, I'm going to show you the second point that will make you to know if it is non-truth or it is or not. Second point. After finding the evidence, the second question you must ask is, what is the source? So in this case, the source is the Bible. But the Bible is not just Bible, the source. What is the source? They must give you the reference, the quotation, which means it's going to be in the Old Testament. So if I say that thou shalt not suffer a wish to live, it's wrong. It's not biblical, it's not Christian. And what is my own basis? I also come with my own base, which is Jesus said, love your enemy. Not pray against your enemy. In fact, if you want to pray about enemy, pray for him only. That's what God, the Bible, the New Testament says. So where do I find my reference? So you have your reference in the Bible, and I have my reference in the Bible too. But you have your reference in the Old Testament, and I have my reference in the New Testament. You say, okay, but the Old Testament also is Bible. Okay, good. But in your own reference, it was written in the law of Moses. But in my own reference, Jesus is the one speaking. So when there is a conflict between any prophet of the Old Testament or New Testament even, and the words of Jesus. So which one of them should take prime position? Which one should be obeyed? Which one should be respected most? The words of Jesus or the word of any other prophet, Old Testament or New Testament? I don't hear it. So why do you then settle for the Old Testament quotation where the word of Jesus is there? So it just doesn't make sense that is the truth. So that cannot be the truth any longer. It is non-truth. Okay? So even though they are able to give you the evidence or the reference, and they are even able to tell you where the reference, the source of the reference, let's go to the next question. The next question you need to ask people. So after they have given you the source of their action, wherever they are behaving, okay, if they said, for example, every woman must marry, they will tell you, thou shalt not be, it's not good for a man to be alone. Okay, But what about if I come with the New Testament, from New Testament, where Paul says, it's better for you to be as you are, not to marry. Because when you don't marry, you are more focused on fulfilling God's purpose. But when you are married, you are fulfilling man's purpose. So which one is superior? So that's why it's important not just for people to be giving evidence. Because a lot of Christians, or references, a lot of Christians, they say, but he has scriptural quotation for it. Our pastor always has scriptural quotation. But that is elementary. People always say, as long as it's quoting scripture. But it's from the Bible also now. But it's from the Bible. So how do you know when people are quoting from the Bible, which one Bible to believe? Which one to stop for? Which one to fall for? You need the reference. Then you need the source of that reference. After the source of the reference, have I given you the third one?
No, sir.
Okay, you need then you ask for the primary source. So if you are saying, okay, thou shalt not suffer a wish to die. Okay, we have found that it's from the Old Testament. We have the scripture. But the primary source is that it is coming under what circumstances, under what condition, what was going on when this thing was said. The primary source. The primary source is that this thing is being said during the time of the laws. The same place, the primary source is in the same context as eye for an eye. If anybody plucks your eye, you pluck his eye. And tooth for a tooth. And thou shalt not suffer a wish to die. So from that same primary source, Jesus also used that primary source in the New Testament. And he said, you have heard that, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, but it is no more so. Yes. So if from the same primary source, it has also already been cancelled, why do you now say, okay, Jesus only mentioned that, but he didn't mention the one of the enemy. But he mentioned the one of the enemy. That enemy, you shouldn't make him die. Don't kill your enemy. But love your enemy. But he just didn't say wish. Or wizard that shall not let him die, live or something. But it's still the same primary source. So from the primary source, we see that Jesus has already dealt with that. If the eye for an eye doesn't work anymore, tooth for tooth doesn't work anymore, why should suffer not a wish to live still work? That's why you need primary source. You see, there is a difference between source and primary source. Primary source is just giving you the quotation, but primary source is knowing what are the environment, what is the original situation going on around that time. To what does it primarily refer to? What is the primary? For example, it says, "Thou shalt not suffer not a woman to speak in the church." Don't allow a woman to speak in the church. Okay, there is a reference to that. Yes. There is a quotation. Yes. There is a source. Yes. But what is the primary situation, the primary source? The primary source was talking about the Roman Empire because it said, before the law prohibited it. For the law does not allow it. The law of the Roman Empire at that time does not allow, because women had just started being recognized and giving voice from 1922. What do you call that? 1922. 1920. From the 1920s. Yeah. It's just from the 1920s it started. So before then, it is illegal everywhere. So that's what it's talking about. But this one that have made it, but God, the primary source is referring to the law of the land, of the Roman Empire. So the primary source is not God saying women are not. But if you now look at the primary source of another scripture, we say now in Christ Jesus there is no more male or female. You see that is now in Christ Jesus, which is superior. So to now say that woman cannot be a leader or speak or pastor is not to ask critical questions. You see, these things are not the most dangerous things are not the lies. The most dangerous things are the non-truth. All these things I'm referring to now, they are examples of non-truth. Next point. So if you have asked the people, where is the primary source, and they are able to give, or they are not able to give you answer, then go ahead. Ask the next question. is this source you are referring to a reported source? Was it just reported to you? Did you hear it from somewhere? Or was it a second-hand source? You know, there is the second-hand source and the first-hand source. So when the place where he's referring, that, for example, to the law of in Roman Empire, that is second-hand. That is not from God. You understand? That is second-hand primary source. Then the place where he's talking about it is not good for a man to be alone. You know, that also is not a direct source. Because it didn't say it's not good for a man to be alone without a wife. It didn't say it's not good for a woman to be without a husband. It's just saying not good to be alone. It could be maybe with a father or with a friend or with relatives or with people. Just not be alone. There is nothing referring there to marriage. Even though later on those people were married, but that's not what it said in particular. He didn't just reduce it to only marriage. Because if that was the case, then the children are in trouble. They are not married. So it's not good for them. They will never be happy. But we know that they are more happy than the ones who are married. Yeah. And then the youth also are in trouble. It means they will never be happy before, but they are more happy than before they married. Yeah. So, because as long as they are with their parents, they are okay. So not be alone doesn't talk necessarily about marriage. But we translated it to be marriage. Because if it had been necessarily about marriage, why does the New Testament say it's better for you to be alone, not to marry? So those things, for example, they are not things that concretely tells you direct like this. They are indirect kind of references and source. So they are, make sure you ask yourself if the reference or the source that people are talking about, either primary source or general source that they are talking about, if it is direct source or secondary source or just maybe a reported source. You know, a lot of people, I heard my pastor said it, that's a reported source. Oh, they said it in our church, that's a reported source. Oh, that's the practice in our country, that's a reported source. Our church, that's the way they do it, that's a reported source. Because there is no documentation behind it. Or our parents saying, oh, where is your child now? You have been married for 1 year. You still don't have a child. What is that? We have to pray. All those things. They don't say, what was the source? No source. No primary, no reference, nothing. Just all those things are just reported source. So next point. After finding out if the source is direct source or secondary source or reported source, another thing you need to find out is the authority of the source. No, of the evidence and the source. The authority of it. Because if you are using a quotation from the Old Testament, and I'm using a quotation from the New Testament, what has more authority? Which one has more authority?
New Testament.
If you are using the words of one prophet somewhere, and I'm using the word of Jesus, which has more authority?
Jesus.
So look at the authority of the source and the authority of the, of the evidence. Or I'm complicating this in too much for you. Okay. Because it will make us to be genuine, to be real, to be thinking people. It will make you to be people of truth. Deception will be eradicated from that kind of society. And superstition is killing us. Okay, for example, somebody could say, if anybody dies, they say, oh, it is somebody in the village that killed him. What is the evidence? Oh, he died. But then, let's take him to the autopsy. Now, let's go and do the autopsy. Then the autopsy tells you that, no, he was just having an heart attack. Because there was no so you are talking evidence. I told you, you don't have evidence. You say, oh, because they fought, because he said something. But evidence says, I'm seeing documents say it's heart attack, because he didn't have enough blood flow. And the reason we didn't have enough blood flow is that he's so heavy, he's so fat, and fat has developed because he needs something and has blocked the blockage of the blood. And you are telling me it is the relative. And or because he's been sitting in the office for too long, he's not doing exercises. So he's not living like a big man. And that has led to his death. And you are now telling me that, oh, it is the second wife or the first wife or it is the mother that killed the son. So all those superstitions, these things should destroy superstition. Also, a youth that, for example, that went to school and got into a bad club or whatever cult and started smoking weed and lost his mind, and they chase him out of school. They say, I know, it is the father that went to marry this second woman. It's not go good for you or whatever. They say, it not go better for you yet. It not go better for you, this woman. Oh, you don't throw away, don't throw my destiny of my phone. But why is your son going to drink? So the person is going to use, it's spiritual. It's spiritual. What is spiritual? Is it the weed that is spiritual? Or the fact that they chase him out of school that is spiritual? Any little thing is superstition. If we don't understand this non-truth, superstition, our continent will still be at the grip of superstition. Superstition will still kill, it will just destroy us. So in the Western world, instead of people to be just saying, oh, it is the mother-in-law that killed him. Oh, it is the second wife. Oh, it is the person in the village. What do? They rather go to the laboratory and go and do autopsy and research. They find out that, oh, it is not only in Africa people die of heart attack. Oh. People also die of heart attack in America, but they don't say they have village, the second wife in the village or grandmother in the village or grandfather. They go to the laboratory. The same thing that killed somebody in Nigeria kills somebody in America. Only this one, they go and do research in America and find the reason. So because they found the reason, they say they discovered something that's called cholesterol. Yeah? Cholesterol. So that cholesterol, they began to reduce it. And a lot of people began to live longer because they did research. They look for proof. They look for source. They look for evidence. And thanks to that, they find answers. And so now they have longer lifespan. But because we are still looking for that in the village and it will die, we are even killing our own lifestyle is even getting shorter. Because we are not looking for facts, we are looking for superstition. So if without this kind of message on truth and non-truth, we would remain in darkness forever. Somebody will tell you, you shouldn't tell anybody what you are doing. Live a secretive life. And then you are praying. You don't know that the person you should have who has answer to your breakthrough and to your something is the person you are hiding from. Because life is about relationship. But you are living in secrecy and saying somebody is doing you or what was it? Is it? Somebody is after you, somebody is behind whatever, and you don't want people to know. So you are the only one struggling. Places where you would have received the connection and something, you are just blocking your own destiny. But you are now praying that anybody who is blocking my destiny, but it is you because of your secrecy. So you are causing yourself. Because we don't have for evidence. We don't look for evidences. We don't look for proofs. If anybody fail WAEC in my country, WAEC is school graduating. If anybody fails graduating class, graduating high school graduation and exams, and you don't pass JAM, that is the one for the admission to university. Oh God, have you gone to night vigil? Okay, we must, we must go admission. He doesn't want you to get admission. We must get admission. Go and see a holy prophet. Go and see, spiritualists. Go and, because the guy who failed, he was not good. Was not as good as, but he's so good. He was brilliant. He was the most brilliant. That's what Izoka said. But we are talking about national level now. He's not good enough. He's been good enough, he would have passed. He's not good enough. Oh, but in high school he did so well. But we are talking about high school, you are talking university. We are talking university, we are talking high school. So all those superstitions is because we are not a culture of asking for evidences. So anyway, I've told you about the authority of the evidence and the source. Okay, then the next thing you want is to know the timing. This evidence that you have brought, what time was he referring to? For example, the one that said women should not talk in church. But it was talking about the time of the Roman Empire. The timing of that word is not for today. Or women shall cover their head in church, for example, because it was talking about the culture of the Eastern people, the Jewish people. For that timing, that was the way to show that a woman is married. But for this timing now, it is the ring that makes people to show that you are married. So you must examine timing. That's the next point. How many points?
That's the sixth point.
That is the sixth. Timing. That after authority comes timing. That word that is used. Is it, for example, somebody says, a woman shall not wear a men's dress. Then they said you shouldn't wear trousers out of that. But who told you that there was trousers at that time? That was timing. It was referring to that particular time. A lot of ignorance. You get what I'm saying? So these things are not lie, but they are non-truth. Next point. When a man of God comes to the church and tells you that, I was in California last week and I said, God told me that there is a woman there. If you give 20,000, 1,000, that any 10 people will come to give 1,000. Then this following year, I went back there and I asked one woman came to me and said, do you recognize me? I said, I don't recognize you. He said, it is me now who came. And when you remember when you came to California and then you said 2 people should come or 10 people should come with 1,000 years. Something. I came out and now I'm a millionaire. It is just the evidence of that man who has sweet mouth, who they talk for today. Where is the woman beside her? Right? Is that right here now? Show me the account number of that woman. All right? And show me that the tattoo at that same particular time. That's what I'm talking about. You don't have the right to believe any of those men of God. They are charlatans. Or anyone that says, okay, it is demon, it is generational cause. I was in the village or in Ijebode, I was doing crusade, and one woman came to me. The senior sister didn't marry. The senior auntie didn't marry. The second auntie never married. The third auntie didn't marry. The mother of the children, out of 5 daughters, none of them married. In fact, anytime they try to engage, they all break up. And so she came to me. And I prayed and I broke the cause. So yes, a year later, I saw her with a handsome, young, tall man. And they were carrying a baby. And they said, "Do you remember me, man of God?" I said, "I don't remember you." They said, "You remember in Djibouti? I came and I said, none of our women, something has married. So all of you who are not married, are generational because I'm going to break." Charlatans. Make you chase them for town. Chase them out of town. What is the evidence? Show me the proof. Show me the source. Show me the report. That is just his own word. What about if he made up the story? How do you know that I didn't make up that story? Where is the woman? Even if the woman comes, tell me what is the evidence. Even if the woman comes, that's not a proof to me. There's somebody here, you have account number, this is your account number, or this is your telephone number, you have something there. So, okay, why did God show you? So, there's somebody trying to kill you in something. Okay, let that killing stop first. Show me the person first. Give me the result first. Before I give you money. What is the name of the person who's trying to kill me? Let me bring him here. You saw him now, and make him confess. God, I pray you will not get lucky. You mention that it is me. I'll give you dirty slap right there. They will take you to hospital. You forget about your evangelism prophecies. Some pastors need to be beaten to stupor right there in the crusade. So that they will stop spreading rubbish. Anyway, so the next point, number 7 now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, number 7 is make sure that any personal experience that is not documented and substantiated is an illusion and fallacy. It's non-truth. It's your own personal evidence. You shouldn't use personal experience as a basis for doctrine or for, manipulation. So don't ever take personal experiences as strong enough reason for action. The only thing strong enough reason for action should be truth. Only truth that is the basis for action. Not personal experiences. Somebody came to me and said, "Oh, he told me everything that happened in my family." Okay, after that, what happened? Those are anecdotes. Anecdotal. What do you call it? Is it anecdotal? Yeah. Anecdotal evidences. We don't want anecdotal evidences. You should never act on those people's personal stories and experiences. Those are folklore stories. We don't want folklore stories of preachers. And on the basis of those folklore stories, you are making lifetime decisions.